We have said that we would cancel the $2 billion carbon capture and storage fund. We hope it hasn't already been allocated by the time we form government, but we would take a different approach. We do not believe in direct subsidies to businesses, particularly some of the biggest corporations this province has. We would take the approach of having generous tax incentives so that any industry that wants to be able to invest in environmental technologies is able to use their own capital to be able to do that. And I think we would end up with far more innovation as a result, rather than the government pick a winner strategy. We would repeal Bill 50 because we think that the approach that they have taken of having the cabinet decide what transmission lines are needed is one that is resulting in an overbuild of transmission that we simply don't need. But the other major aspect, of course, is energy promotion. We know that a lot of what is being said about our industry, frankly, is just not true. That we have misleading information out there that is fueling the decisions being made in the U.S. and in Ottawa about whether or not they need to step in and regulate this industry. I have a lot of optimism that our industry, given the parameters, given the targets, will be able to solve this problem through technology. Well, I think there's some disingenuousness in the part of American politicians. If they were as concerned about CO2 as they claim to be, they would be targeting their own heavy coal industry and the emissions that the coal industry produces through electricity development. This is why we think taking the approach where we switch to cleaner and cleaner fuels. We want to have a natural gas strategy, for instance, because we think that's where you get the triple win. We have here, we know, incredible reserves of natural gas, an industry that can develop it. We know it will reduce costs for consumers, and it will dramatically reduce overall emissions across the board, not just CO2, but a whole range of pollutants as well. That's the kind of approach that we think is a sensible approach to being able to address environmental issues. As for the oil sands, I think that, frankly, the best people to understand the progress our industry has already made are the regulators in this province. We know that there were problems. Absolutely there is. Anytime that you engage in a mining activity, there are going to be problems. But there has been a dramatic level of improvement over the last couple of years, a dramatic level of understanding and cooperation within the industry. I think it will not be long before we start seeing an elimination of tailing ponds, which will eliminate bird kills. I think there will be new technologies that will be able to replace the use of water in developing and extracting these resources. If we can learn anything from our industry here, is that our industry are innovators. Our industry can figure these problems out. We just have to set the target for them, give them the means to be able to do it, and we will meet and they'll meet the objective. I have no doubt about it. The role of government is not to micromanage every little step along the way. The role of government is to say, here's the outcome we expect you to achieve, and to enforce it, and then allow the industry the freedom and the ability to be able to achieve it. That's not what's happened, and that's how we would change the way we regulate. Well, one of the things that we find frustrating is the $2 billion carbon capture and storage fund, where the government figured that they could choose the handful of projects that were going to be successful in reducing carbon dioxide emissions. We don't believe that government bureaucrats are the ones who know what needs to be done. We believe that the expertise lies in industry, and we would far prefer to see, rather than a direct grant program, a tax incentive structure where companies who invest in environmental technologies are able to write those costs off against royalties or corporate income so that they can keep more of what they earn to be able to dedicate it to developing those environmental technologies. That's the kind of approach that we think is far better than the picking winners and losers strategy that the government has gone down the path of. We think that we're going to ultimately see a multi-billion-dollar boondoggle with the approach that they've taken, and we would far rather cut our losses right now, stop going down that path, and create a more generous environment for tax incentives so that companies can choose to invest in these technologies, so they can choose to invest in value-added industries, so that they can choose to invest in upgrading capacity. We think that the industry knows what the answers are, and they just need tax policy and regulatory policy to enable them to do it.